Are we having a conversation? Are we having a fireside conversation?
We're having a fireside.
Who has got the fire lit? Because it seems like I always hear that this meeting is lit. So do we got the fire lit there? Tim, the pointer, the professional pointer, has lit the fire. So we're talking all things speaker factor, and we have and I refer to her as the lovely Ursula. Can't we? Let's just agree. If you agree that she is indeed the lovely Ursula, then you've got to give me a few of those. The lovely Ursula. Thank you for inviting us, the lovely Ursula. And we are talking all things speaker factor. And I see we do have in the room the experimental innovator, the man who brought speaker factor to our shores, and who is, let's just refer to him as Batman, the speaker factor aficionado. Thank you, Bruce. And Bruce, I don't know, you know what, why don't we do this? Why don't we ask Bruce, so if you can put Bruce up next to me, and what I want to ask Bruce is if he would mind just chatting to us just briefly. This is an impromptu question. How did Speaker Factor come about? My understanding is you were inspired by one of I think it was the UK Professional Speakers Association, and you thought this would be a great idea, and then you brought Speaker Factor to our shores. Correct me if I'm wrong, sir. Share with us the origin of Speaker Factor Southern Africa.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Ursula. Speaker Factor came in from the UK. They've been running it across there for, I think, a couple of years longer than we have. But actually, what I've seen, we are far better than them. And I think what we've seen, so the goal of Speaker Factor was to give the associate, the up-and-coming speakers, a chance to be formed and polished, put through the furnace, if that's a way, to be able to sort of withstand the harsh treatment of a competition and stand on the stage. And it has proved itself over and over again. And I was just saying last night is that every winner of Speaker Factor that we've had over the past 5 years has gone on to do great stuff the year after. But not only the winner, if you take the finalists that have gone off, the top 5 speakers, they've all gone off to accelerate where they're at and to be able to do good things. But then go back and look at everybody who entered. Everybody who entered Speaker Factor became betterer on the stage than they were when they entered. And I think that's what it is. So Speaker Factor is an instrument of becoming betterer.
Indeed, becoming betterer. Betterer we are. So I 100% agree. And so I want to acknowledge you, Bruce, for the foresight, insight, hindsight, and what other sights there is for bringing that to our shores. Because I think I agree with you. It's really, we've seen better and better, and everybody growing from the experience. So I can tell you that I am a serial contester, a serial competitor. I started competing in speaking contests some time ago, and I've been blessed to have achieved a small amount of success in that field. And one of the things that when we start speaking as speakers, and I suppose because now I'm also a presentation skills coach, we are, the whole glossophobia thing is because we don't like to be judged. Oh, we don't like to be judged. And then we go to speech contest, and what do? They judge us. So it is a cauldron. It is the cauldron, but how else do you improve? And that's what competition is all about. That's what the Olympics are all about. We push ourselves and we measure ourselves against other speakers. So I have with me in a room, we have a few past winners. I see Alison Via. Alison, very, I mean, her career has just, the trajectory is like so in terms of speaking. And only after she joined, she did Speaker Factor. Before then, it was flatlining. No, I'm joking, Alison. I'm joking. I was never doing that. I was never going to do that. But So very, very, very much so. So I can tell you that from personal experience, 4 years ago, I think when I was just a novice speaker. Today, I do presentation skills training for the biggest corporates in town, and I am loving it. I'm really, really loving it. So it escalated my career from that perspective. I want to ask now. I'm going to go to and because she is the hostess with the mostest. Current champion, Speaker Factor champion. I've got a few questions around the room, and I'm going to ask you, Ursula, chapter round. So obviously this is the virtual chapter. Describe for us your initial experience at the local chapter. What was your motivation to get started? Because you also are a very, very consummate presentation skills coach. You are, after all, Confident Voices. What would Confident Voices want to come and do with our little Speaker Factor contest?
Thank you for the question, Gary. And can I answer the two versions of Ursula that did this? Because I did this competition twice. So version one wanted to do the competition because I wanted to win. And I'm just going to be like that. I heard about this competition. I heard it's global. It's from the other associations. Talk about credibility, talk about experience. And I thought, oh, this will just give me that next edge in my business that I need. So I'm gonna win. And I didn't win. Okay. So then I did it again this year. Okay. I did it to grow. And that's how you get it. To quote Bruce, I wanted to get betterer. So the intention for this year was, how can I be like beyond to my level of best? And all of a sudden, the competition wasn't about Speaker Factor anymore. It was, how can I outwin myself? And it wasn't about anyone else.
Although they were
That
all
was the
there.
intention. They're all there. They're all there. And it doesn't take away, Gary, the fact that you still get judged. And that makes Speaker Factor really, really hard.
Yes. Phenomenal. So thank you for that. I'm going to go
Thank you.
across the room to my very good friend, Brendan Kavanagh, all the way from the East Coast. Are you on the East Coast currently, sir?
I am, yes, I am. On the beautiful
East
humid
Coast
East Coast.
and East Coast Radio. I have a long and very, I would like to say, successful relationship with building brands with East Coast Radio and with Brendan in particular. So Brendan, complete newbie to PSASA at the time, had done speaking in the past. So speaking wasn't unusual, and we had chatted about potentially coming in and having a look at what this is all about. And Brendan, because we're good friends and we've been friends for many years, was aware of some of the contests that I've done. I'm like, come on, dude, you're like I've heard you speak. You're a great speaker. Come and join us. So, Brendan, that first little step,
Yeah.
into so tell us about the step and kind of what was going, other than the fact that I was cajoling you and what have you, what was going through your, what were your impressions about Speaker Factor and why you should potentially do it?
So you're 100% right. I was an absolute newbie. I was still trying to understand what PSASA is all about. And through giving into social pressure, peer pressure from my friend Gary, I submitted and entered this thing called Speaker Factor. Who knew what it was? It was a factor and it had speakers. And that was the limit of my understanding. KZN, the chapter at the time, was going through some difficult times, and so there wasn't a huge amount of support. So it really was being thrown into the deep end. So those first steps were daunting, exciting, built anticipation. It was mind-blowing. There was so much I had to learn. And I think probably the biggest thing is that I've been speaking for a very long time, but not professionally. I speak in my career. I've done lots of training. I love to speak to people. It's one of my favorite things to do. I've grown up in sales. But a speaking competition I have never entered. And to speak in a room full of professional global speakers, esteemed speakers such as yourself, Gary, many trophies, they should be behind you in your virtual background. But it was exceptionally daunting. I've spoken to big audiences before, but Speaker Factor was another level. But in that pressure, There is so much learning. It is incredible over a short period of time. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, so I think that is probably one of the key takeaways you're going to get from everybody is the amount of learning that happens in a very short period of time. So if you're wanting to kind of just, and we'll just talk about level up, and clearly we as speakers, we need to be doing that all the time. Our voice is our invoice. This is our business. This is what we do, and you need to be honing your skills and improving all the way along the line. So thank you for that. I'm going to come back to you. Mandy not in the room. Hey, Mandy did say she would try and be here, but I don't see Mandy in the room. But not a problem. I'm going to go back. I'm actually going to go across to Tim now. So Tim, the professional pointer. We'll stick with the first question. You know, kind of the inspiration. What inspired you? What was the inspiration? You've got a very successful speaking business. You're a consummate professional, and you have a wonderful story. What was the initial inspiration for you? So Ursula and I were the same. We wanted to win initially, or like kind of competitive spirit. We're all about the applause. You know, I can't know with that. But for you, what was it? What was the initial thing that got you going? Like, I want to do this thing. I want to put my name forward.
Very complex, long answer. It consists of 2 words. To win. That was it.
Welcome to the club.
In all my arrogance, it was the opportunity to be recognized and stand on a stage in front of my peers in the finals.
It is all
unknown. I'd only just joined the PSASA, and this thing came up, and I didn't even know what it was, but I heard competition, winner speaks on stage in the annual convention, and I was like, done, I'm in, that's it, I'm on stage and won. Next. Sorry for the rest of you, but
I'm taking this thing. So I mean, it does do that. So let's be honest about it. It gives you the opportunity to get yourself onto the big stage at the convention and in front of your peers, and competition does that, and it allows you to, you know, it's just, let's call it showcase yourself. So it's not about showboating, it's about showcasing, and your business. Effectively, you're out there and you need other people to know what you do, because we're a networking organization. And if they've seen you on stage and they see what you're capable of, they're more comfortable reaching out to you if there's an opportunity. Thank you for that, Tim. Thank you for that brutal honesty. I didn't want brutal honesty, just like minimum, but brutal was good. Thank you for that. I appreciate the brutal honesty. Speaking about brutal, I've learned how to segue. Speaking about, I thought a Segway was a scooter. It's not a scooter, apparently. Ursula taught me it's a thing where you move from one to the other. So Ursula, now this was the thing. The semi-final round. So for you, it kind of it was still virtual. So you are a virtual chapter, although you do come and visit us in person. We always love when we see you in person. But like, kind of, how did you approach now? So what was your mindset now that you're like, okay, I've gone through from you have a past experience in contest, you're doing it a second time, semi-finals, it's like ramping up. How do you kind of, what did you need to change, or what did you need to adjust? What were you thinking in terms of getting that online presentation done and dusted, and like kind of, because you need to be top 5. What was the top 5 to go through to the final? Yeah.
Yes, you need to be in the top 5 to go to the final.
Yeah.
Thank you. So what did I have to do online? So what were some of the challenges online?
And let's just talk about that challenge. Is that, and we'll talk about it a little bit more as well. Is we in this virtual space, and I remember when we all first transitioned, it was very, very awkward. Nobody knew what was going on. It was very weird. And now we are a lot more comfortable in this space, but. We had in some chapters it was an in-person contest, and then the online semi-final, and then in person again. So you had to move between, and we're going to be doing the same this year. So you'll have an in-person, an online, and in-person, and there's an adjustment, and that's what I want to talk to you about. That adjustment. Yeah. You are used to speaking in person. You MC a lot. You do that a lot, and what was the online adjustment part that I'm looking for from you?
Thank you. That's really
Because
great.
I'll speak for Mandy, that she's not, I'll tell you what she did.
Oh, okay. Can I tell you first and you tell us what she did?
Yes,
Okay.
you tell me first.
So, and that's part of why I wanted the experience, because it makes you agile, because you're going to have the online experience and you're going to have the in-person experience. First rounds, for those of you who can remember, I used to be back in like a different space and I loved my setup. And I was sitting on my chair with my white fluffy background thingy and I did my presentation. And I think Bruce gave me the feedback that you're too comfortable. You've got to stand. You've got to change things up. And then my life changed. I moved into a new apartment and that semifinals, I am in an empty apartment next to boxes. And I felt out of my comfort zone and I didn't have my snazzy setup and I was echoing because I didn't have nice sound. And I had to kind of makeshift and lighting and I don't know, like it was not my ideal. The perfectionist in me was cringing because this is not my ideal setup. And I stood. That's another thing I did. I stood up. I was standing. I wasn't sitting. I was standing because it shifted my energy. And I don't know, for some reason, Nikki Bush said she loved my setup. And I was like, it was not my perfectionist setup. But I think what it taught me in that round is, it stretched me. I was out of my comfort zone and to go with it even when it didn't feel perfect and just give it your all. So even if you don't feel perfect in that round, like you can, there's still hope. That definitely shifted it. But I would say another thing was I was standing.
100%. I'm going to 102% agree with the standing part. The energy is completely different. I have a different setup, and I do now. If I'm training, even if it's all day, I join these meetings seated, but I will train standing every single time. And I've got a setup that works exactly that because the energy is different, and you're able to move differently, and you're able to so. Top tip from Ursula, you will be standing when you deliver that presentation. Great stuff. I'm going to go, I'm on the same thing, so I'm not going to go back to Ben. I want to come back to Tim. Tim, so it's a similar thing, but I'm going to ask a slightly different question. So Ursula was talking about how she adjusted and adapted. She moved her environment. Oh, I did say I was going to tell you what Mandy had done. Mandy, when I saw her semi-final, I was blown away by the quality of her video. And that's because she used a DSLR camera. She didn't use a normal webcam. And I can tell you he's in the room as well. The first time I saw that was with Extien de Waal in the lockdown days. And Extien introduced that to us, that DSLR cameras, there he is. You'll remember that conversation, I hope so, that you can use not every single camera, but if you want, look at that. If you want proper quality, and I'm not using it now, but I'll show you. It is there, and it's really there. It is. No, it's can't because I've got a background. I'm going to get rid of my background quickly, so I don't have to do that. Oh, I'm not doing that very well. Say no more background, so that I can show you. No background. See, just no background. There it is. So I have the camera all set up and ready. It's connected. You see the microphones over there, the microphones over there. So I have done exactly that, invested in that. So having seen what it can do for you from a quality point of view, if you're serious and if you are in this business and you are regularly, Extien would be more than happy to do a masterclass on how to set up. So that's a whole different world. We should be there anyway. So you should have the best quality camera and I saw, for me, Mandy's semi-final video was next level because she used the microphone. So I don't know if it was which one it was, but the microphone and the camera, phenomenal. And I'm going to go to Tim. So I told you what Mandy did. Tim, I want to ask you. Now we now go to finals. Okay, so get through the semi-finals. And we go to finals, and now you had to adjust from having 2 video presentations, count on video. Now you've got to go in person on the big stage. So you're at the convention, you are surrounded by your peers, you're not hiding behind your camera. What adjustments did you need to make to your presentation? I know some stuff that the recommendation that I'd make, but I want to ask you, how did you adapt your presentation for that online, the in-person, so from online to in-person?
We set the scene very quickly for you in 10 seconds. The time before standing on stage at convention for the finals, the last stage I'd stood on was before COVID. So 2019, in person. So that in itself was eating me up inside, that I hadn't stood on a stage for 4 years. So what did I do? I spoke to a number of other very expert speakers and asked for their opinion of what do I do on stage. I reached out to a number of them, and I think that's a key thing, is reach out and ask for expertise, ask for advice. No chip on your shoulder, no ego, just raw, brutal. Wasn't interested in what I was doing well. I was interested in how I could do it better and how do I stand? Where do I go on stage? How do I move? So that was the first thing. The next thing was get there early and get on stage, befriend the audio guys and the video guy, and get on stage before anybody else, arrive early and go and practice before anybody else is around. That's what I had to do because it was nerve-wracking standing there. And it was 4 years. So, yeah, advice, opinions, seek out professional expertise and information.
Excellent stuff, excellent. I'm going to answer Jamie's question that she put in the chat box just very, very quickly, just to create context. And maybe we should have done that in the beginning, just create a little bit more context. So, Jamie, for your benefit, the first round of contest is the chapter round. So the chapter, anybody who wants to compete will compete, and as the Johannesburg chapter, we're the biggest chapter. Bruce always says we like to cheat and try to get 4 people in the semi-final. He doesn't allow us. So it's a little bit more intense. You have a speech of your own choosing, following the guidelines. So it should be business related. The guidelines you should have received. If you haven't, we can share with you the guide on how you're judged. So what you get is you then come in and deliver a 5-minute presentation. And you get judged on the quality of how well the presentation is put together, how well you deliver, and then bookability. And we'll get into some clarity at a different meeting about the judging criteria. So now we're just talking about the experience. But you can speak on any subject, but ideally you want to be booked as a speaker. So this is a professional presentation. You have no props with you. There's no background. There's no changes. This is you up front talking about your business as if you are pitching your business. And so you have 5 minutes to do that. If you go over 15 seconds, you don't get time, so you don't see the time. You're a professional, so you keep the time yourself. If you go over 5 minutes and 15 seconds, you get disqualified. So that's the way it works. You then have, there are, I think, 5 judges in each case. Judges are typically professional members, and I see Lorraine Jenks in the room. Lorraine regularly has supported us and judged. The judges have the criteria that they're judging on. They score you, submit the scores to the chief judge. The chief judge tallies up the scores, and the highest scores win and go through to the semi-final round. So we then take two finalists and a reserve. So 3 people from each chapter go forward to the semi-final round, which is then held online. If both can go through, so the reserve, sometimes a chapter can't kind of supply a second candidate, then the reserve gets to. So we'll always then have 10 people in the semi-final. It's the same thing. You get to do your presentation. You get judged by the professional members, and 5 finalists go through to the final, which is held in person at the convention on the main stage on the Friday. That then is in person, and same process. The judging criteria are the same. You get judged on, and we could pull it up right now, but we maybe go through it a bit later. I will share that with you. You'll get that up kind of up front, and that's the way the contest works. So three rounds of contest, two finalists all the way through, and then at the gala dinner, the final, the winner is announced. I've had the pleasure of announcing the winner twice in person. So I announced Ursula last year, and the year before that was Nick Smith, and I was in person when Alison was judged to be the winner as well. So it's a wonderful achievement, it's a wonderful accolade to get that kind of recognition. So I hope that gives you a little bit more insight, Jamie, and anybody else was unsure about how the contest worked, but you will get there. It is there. So Katie's put the speaker factor procedure in the chat. Thank you for that. It's not a very complicated procedure. What we will be doing, and there is a president's group, a speaker factor group that are just working on clarifying the big criteria is what is bookability. We just want to be a little bit more clear on what bookability is. So each judge is judging on the same standard, and each speaker has the same understanding of what bookability is. The other are quite clear. Your presentation skills and vocal variety and stuff is very, very clear. But to Tim's point, and I want to be clear on this. From here on over the next months, your chapters are there to support you. Your colleagues are there to support you. You can reach out to anybody and ask for assistance, ask for guidance. So chapters are 100% encouraged to support their speakers and coach and kind of allow people to. Bruce, I will include you in that group for clarification. We have discussed it. So you are welcome to get support from, and I know Alison has got a wonderful talk that she's prepared, and she's waiting for an opportunity to do that in terms of how to put a keynote together. So there will be some training sessions that we're building up to. So this is the teaser. This is just to whet your appetite in terms of the experience as a speaker. So Tim, thank you, and for what you said in particular, reach out and get the advice, get the practice, get the early. Like kind of the stage mechanics are critical. You're a professional speaker, you need to be able to use the stage exceptionally well, because others will be doing that. I'm going to go now back to Brendan, because there was something that and I saw that kind of happen, and because we mates, I was in on the experience. So Brendan, you shared with me now, so one of the things that you needed to do was you were up in Joburg on business. You weren't at home. You weren't in your natural environment. You had to do the semi-final from your hotel room. So you got that, and you actually stayed on. So this is what I found out from Brendan is he was supposed to travel back to Durban, but he worked out that the timing wasn't going to work for him. So he decided to stay another night in Joburg in the hotel just to compete in the contest. So take us through that. Take us through what was happening over there.
So similar to Ursula, it was not my usual surroundings. I would have had a beautiful setup, possibly in the studio and just ready for action. So I extended my stay at the hotel thinking, beautiful hotel room, beautiful big curtains in the background, like everything's going to be amazing. I need to get to the room, and the lighting is terrible. The sound is terrible. I was moving beds and tables and lamps and pointing them in strange directions. So definitely the technology advice is the right way to go. So I would say not only a great camera, but great lighting can do so much. So yes, and then there we go. Thank you, Ursula. Props, that's double meaning. But being prepared, I think, was the biggest advice I could give to anyone entering into Speaker Factor, besides just the technology and the lighting, but your speech. I started quite late, progressed through, because the KZN chapter, like I say, was very quiet at that time. So the progression from chapter to semi-final was quite quick, and it was an exceptionally busy time at work. And so I didn't have a huge amount of time to prepare. So it caught me on the back foot. I also didn't really understand the bookability side of things. So it's great that we delving into that space. But my biggest advice is preparation is everything for Speaker Factor. Not only will it help you to prepare your speech, but to polish it. And that dreaded, so I love to talk. Give me a microphone or a dinner table, and I can tell stories for days. So I was terrified of going over that 5 minutes, 5 minutes and 15 seconds. So the advice that you gave me, Gary, was, so I have copywriter background. So I worked out that 700 words is the conversational pace for a 5-minute talk. And so I was proudly told Gary, I got it down to 680 something. And he said, not enough, chop it down more. And so it was hard enough to get it down there. So you've got to start with a lean, mean message, leave space for laughter and interaction and that sort of thing. But preparation is everything. You don't want to be forgetting your talk. Gary's got amazing advice about visualizing different sections of your talk, which really helped me as well. But preparation is absolutely everything.
Excellent. Yeah, so it's a great advice here, Brendan. And this is the advice that I learned in contest speaking, and it's the best advice I ever had. So I'm a much better prepared speaker than I am off the cuff. A lot of people, can kind of be very impromptu. I'm not good at that. I need to be well prepared. And what used to happen is when I was rehearsing my speech, and I would forget something, I'd stumble, I would start again. I'm like, okay, I messed that up, let's start again. Messed it up, let's start again. And I would regularly do that. So I would try and get the speech done in my car, I'd be driving in the car, rehearsing the speech, and then, oh, God, messed it up, start again. And then I learned to speak through the mistakes. Never, ever stop. This is the best advice I ever had. Never stop when you stumble. Carry on going. The more you do that, the better it gets. And I'm sorry that Nick isn't in the room, because Nick had the most unfortunate experience, and we've had a few people over the years that have had these unfortunate experience of hitting a blank. I don't know how best to describe it, but hitting a blank, and then now it's like gone. And Nick, bless his cotton picking socks, hits a blank. We heard Nicky giving him the words, and Nick was just standing there, and he was like, it's gone. It really is gone. And that's what happens if you don't practice going through the mistakes. So it's like, because when you get there, because that's what will happen is, woof, suddenly, and best advice I have ever had. When I first won the Toastmasters, the Southern African Championship, there was a scene where I'm supposed to say, and then years later I saw him again, and I caught myself saying, and then I saw him in the distance. I'm like, huh? Like, I had no idea where those words came from. Had I not been practicing through the mistakes, I would have stumbled right there, lost time, because that's what happens when you stumble. You now collect yourself, you lose time, then you're trying to catch up. Then you start speaking too fast, and you realize you're speaking too fast. It all goes pear-shaped. Keep it, and that's also why you want to have a shorter presentation. You want to write a 4-minute presentation if you're speaking for 5 minutes, because it'll give you that space to do this.
Yeah, if I could jump in there, Gary, that is exactly what happened to me. So practice. I think my opening sentence I must have practiced 500 times. But then I got up on stage, and my opening sentence I delivered perfectly, and then went completely blank for what the second sentence was. But I just kind of winged it for a few seconds. And then, because of all the practice, your brain slowly then delivers you information. And that's why, like you said, slightly shorter, leave space for that sort of thing. But it was such an incredible learning experience. So everyone that's entered, I wish them nothing but the best. You will learn so much.
Wonderful. I'm not sure how much time we have left, Ursula. So
Thank you. On that topic of time, we have like 1 minute. So I think, Gary, this is so juicy. This fireside conversation is juicy. I know people are getting a lot of information, so this is good. This is doing what we needed to do. Gary, do you want to wrap us up, please?
Wrap it up in a bow. So, Jamie, to your question as well, you will get emails. So what happens is the chapters, we have the national convener. So Nick Smith is the national convener for PSASA Southern Africa, and he's kind of coordinating. Each chapter will have a champion that will run the contest for the chapter. That chapter champion will then set the date of the contest. The date typically, so if May is when we have the convention, is May. Where's convention is May? Where's May?
April.
Kim. what is the date of the convention, the final?
The 4th to the 6th of April.
Oh, sorry, April. Sorry. So 4th to 6th of April is the Toastmasters convention is May. That's MACON as well. So it's 4th of April. So you're probably going to have March will be the semi-final. February will probably be the chapter final. So we'll probably go end of January, February. So probably February chapter finals, April semi-final. March semi-final, and May will be the final. So that's the way it'll go. So, and there will be some, Bruce has been encouraging us to have these kinds of meetings, whatever. The next, I think, national structure that we have is we will then start delving into the judging criteria. So we'll look to have a judging workshop for people that want to judge, and just that we will align on that. And then we'll also use the opportunity to explain the judging criteria so you can prepare your presentation. I saw Extian volunteering to do how to set up your hotel room professionally. So we'll try and coordinate. I'll ask Nick to try and coordinate those activities. Wrapping it all up, thank you, Ursula. Ursula, one last word from you. When you were called up as the winner, I know when Bruce announced me as the winner, my heart veritably jumped out of my chest. I was so excited and so happy. It was unexpected. Alison, when you were announced as winner, just quickly, what was that feeling? Ursula first, and then give Alison a quick chance. What did that feel like? It is the most incredible experience.
Thank you for asking that. And a quick one, I mean, I had Alison next to me. It was the most beautiful, beautiful thing to have Alison standing there next to me, sharing that moment with her. It was the scariest thing for me, Gary. Imposter syndrome was screaming at me. Yes, there were all sorts of feelings, but Gary, there was learning, because every moment has learning. Even winning has learning. And the learning was you step into that energy with all of the gratitude, because I know it was Bruce helping me and Ali helping me and you step with that gratitude. And so that was the learning for me. It was get over the imposter and just deep heart feelings for this community. Ali, what was your take?
I was a bit of a mess the year I won. I fell apart a bit. But I can tell you the year after that, when I spoke at the convention and I got a standing ovation, it was without doubt one of the most significant moments of my whole life. And it made my whole life made sense. My whole life made sense when I joined this community. And that's all I want to say.
Wonderful.
We love you, Ali. And on that, I'm going to say thank you, Gary. That was phenomenal. Gary gave us so much gold. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for guiding and inspiring everyone. We needed that, Gary. We needed you.